All right, so I just kind of want to go through a couple of things before Hannah starts, but we are officially changing team calls to Monday nights in September. So part of the reason why Jacqueline and I decided Monday nights we're hoping that you would want Monday nights was that it goes right after the like play squad calls. So it's like you can just block off one night and watch both if you have time. I know for me, the time of the Slay Squad ones are always hard because it's like kids are in bed or just trying to get to bed and that kind of stuff. But listen in on those. Your last one are active.
I'll say this for me, like I'm not going to be able to like sit down and listen to the Slay Squad like with pen and paper and like commit to that every week. But that's the type of call that you can come on, pop your headphones in, or at least pop one headphone in, and you can still be doing things like wrapping up dishes or picking up the house, folding laundry. Like you can still be doing something and listening at the same time if you're muted and have a little picture up on your screen. So it's a good opportunity to try as often as you can to hop on and listen. That way you don't have to go back and watch something else live or rewatch the recording or whatever. So.
I agree. And then just a reminder, they gave us 3 more promo codes for the month of August. So I was thinking about doing a fun little competition starting Monday of who can get rid of their promo codes first. And so those of us with spouse accounts, that's a little bit harder.
Oh, crap.
I know, but it would be a fun little competition. We got to level up. We're going to ask people to level up. So but it's a great opportunity, and I'm not sure if they're going to do it in September again. So, I mean, they really haven't said anything. So just want to encourage you with that. And then again, just pushing our goal of 100 coaches by December 31st. And I just checked, we are 2 points away from being at the second phase of the road to elite. So hopefully in August, or the end of August, we get the little team builder part of the statue. So that's kind of fun. We can kind of see ourselves climb. So
that's awesome. I'll give Mallory a little shout out because she's not here tonight. But she is signing up a coach tomorrow, a discount coach. So we can add that on to our list. So.
And then one more shout out, Danielle. I specifically asked her to come on because I was like, you need to share what you're doing. She has added 5 customers this week. Is it 5? And then she has more signing up, but they're all doing 80-day obsession together. And one of the things that was just encouraging is like, she just totally went out and did her own thing. She's not doing Morning Meltdown 100, and that's totally fine. Like, we want everybody to feel that freedom. You're comfortable doing that. And she's like getting people to join her. And so I just wanted to share kind of what she's been doing because it's a little bit different than some of us do. And I think that's good. So.
I literally just rely on sharing my journey and then using hashtags that'll increase people seeing my stuff and then letting them reach out to me. But honestly, a big portion of the people who have joined me have been friends of challengers that I've had in the last few months. I'll tell them towards the end of the challenge, if you feel like you've benefited from being in the program and you like the results and you have somebody in your life that you think could also use a change in their life, maybe let them know what you're doing and see if they want to do it with you, and you guys can keep each other accountable. And so in this past week, I've had probably 10 or 11 messages from friends of current challengers hey, I've talked to this person and this is what they said they're doing. Can you help me too?
That's awesome. So I think that's just a great example, Danielle, of helping people get results and then encourage them to share that. And the next step is to invite them to be coaching so they get the referrals and not you. But that's part of it. You're making coaches. Yeah, Jacqueline, we could just say this because it was literally every time oh, you should sign up with Ashley. It's Jack.
Actually, 3 Starbucks gift cards for referring people, and she was like, look, you'd get more in commission. I would have to buy you a Starbucks card. And I'm like, no, you do that until.
And I have probably 4 or 5 military spouses in my group, and I'm like, you guys are crazy. Like, you don't have to pay anything to be a coach, but your stuff's like way cheaper, and you don't have to do anything.
They only even have to purchase, I think it's only like every 3 months. Like it's, yeah. So, yeah, that's crazy. But thanks for sharing that. I just wanted you to share with us and say how proud I am of you for kind of doing your own thing and encouraging people. So, all right, Hannah.
Hey.
So, Hannah, first of all, I am so excited for you and what your business has also done in the last like 6 weeks. And kind of, again, doing your own thing and kind of going out on your own. But one thing, if you don't follow Hannah on Instagram, you should. She's incredibly good at sharing her journey and the struggles and day-to-day life and all of those kind of things. And she took all of her pictures, so she's good at like capturing good images. And I know, like, from talking to all of our coaches on our team, one of the biggest challenges is sharing our journey, and then also like what picture to post with it. So Jacqueline and I thought we should ask Hannah to talk because it's not our thing. We might as well learn from a master. So go ahead, Hannah.
I don't know if I'm a master, but I think I follow everyone. I just found you, Danielle. I don't think I've like met you. So hi. When did you start coaching, Danielle?
I just started coaching, like, I think the end of May, beginning of June.
Okay. I was like, I don't think I've seen you. So, okay, good. I'm not crazy. And Brittany, I've been seeing you for a while. Jacqueline, obviously I know you. Crystal, we got to meet in person, so great. I actually got to sit with Crystal at Summit and help form a story with her. And that was really good for me because Ashley had already asked me, she had said, would you be willing to come on and do a team call talking about forming your story? And so doing that with you was a good reminder to me that that is something I really enjoy doing. I'm an elementary school teacher. I'm a mom, and coaching has become something I'm really passionate about because it is just another part of my story. And so I would not consider myself like any better than any of you or really anyone else, but I do enjoy putting things to words, and I do enjoy pairing that with pictures. So I'm going to just kind of walk through some of the things that I think about when I'm getting ready to post something specifically related to Beachbody, but really also everything else. I think what's most important to me tonight is to just get us all kind of thinking about, I'm a teacher, so it's going to be pretty hands-on. I want you guys to like participate with me and do this with me. I don't know, do we record this? People watch it after? I don't even know, but hopefully you guys will actually like try to do this for yourself, because the most important thing to me is that we all understand that we all have very different stories. So even though we're all Beachbody coaches, hi Leah, even though we're all Beachbody coaches, we are very, very different. And so our story should look different. One thing that, if I'm being really honest, kind of bothers me sometimes about Beachbody coaches' pages is that sometimes they all look really similar. And part of that is because people are trying to fit some kind of a mold or some kind of a story that isn't necessarily theirs. So I really want to encourage you tonight. And I'm encouraging myself, as I always do. I try to, like, one of my mantras daily is to just remind myself of my own story, my own place in the world, and how important my words are to the world, and the same goes for you. And so as you think tonight about your story and what you're sharing, I really want you to keep in mind that you're not supposed to look like anyone else. You're supposed to look like you. And we preach that as Beachbody coaches. We're trying to help people find a lifestyle change. And so that's what our story should reflect. So it's interesting that we're talking about stories, because on Instagram, which is a big platform for Beachbody, obviously, you have stories and you have posts, and they're two very different things. So another thing to think about is how you're using those strategically to aid your business and to share your life and to share your journey. I was thinking about it, and we have about 12 hours in a day. Some of us get up really early and stay up later, so maybe it's more like 15 for some of you. But let's think in a 12-hour window. Your story should have potentially maybe one post per hour. Maybe you're posting multiple times in an hour, but at the end of a day, maybe you'll have, let's say you have 12 things in your story. What should be reflected in that story is what happened in your day. And so if you look back at your story in a day and it's 12 things all about Energize or all about your workout, you're not reflecting your story for that day very well. And so for me, I've been conscious of that lately, of realizing I have 12 hours in a day. Am I showing my whole story to people? Are there things I'm leaving out because they make me uncomfortable? They make me vulnerable. They just weren't pretty. They weren't something I was videotaping. I've been more conscious of thinking about that, and it's something I want to invite you to think about today. So if you have paper out, one thing I did was draw a circle and make 12 slots in it. And I wrote for each hour of the day something that I'm doing. For most of us, well, for all of us, we have an hour a day that we're working out. So write your workout in one of those chunks. Our meals probably are about an hour. If you're at work, you have about an hour for your lunch break. So write lunch, write breakfast, write dinner. I put cleaning. I usually spend about an hour a day here and there cleaning. So I went and did that for my day, the 12 things. And I thought, okay, is my story, my literal story on my Instagram, reflecting that? Am I showing everything I'm doing? Brittany, you're a nurse, right? No, you're a,
I work in mortgage.
And you and I were talking last time because you might have to do workouts on your lunch break. Sorry, I said you were a nurse.
I'm actually planning on doing that pretty soon.
So your day looks so different than my day. And what your story should be reflecting is the craziness of doing that work and having to work overtime in this season. And so you're not going to be able to post 12 things in a day necessarily because you're busy doing other things. I'm home with my kids. I can post pictures of them doing cute things or videos of myself talking. Ashley's able to do that in this season too. But something to be thinking about for yourself is when people pop onto your Instagram and stories are becoming a much bigger and more prominent part of our story sharing, are they seeing a really accurate reflection of what your day looks like and the craziness of Brittany's life versus the craziness of Danielle's life versus the craziness of Crystal, Ashley, Jacqueline's life? And so that's just one thing I wanted to get us thinking about tonight, because I know I haven't really taken time to think very hard about the difference between my posting and my stories. So that's something I would invite you to do, is break down your day into those 12 hours and think, okay, I've got 12 main things that are using up those hours over the course of my day. What is kind of off limits for me? What am I not sharing? What are the parts of my day that don't need to be shared? What are the parts of my day that maybe I could be sharing more about and might draw other people in? So I had already told you, Brittany, that I think sharing about working out over your lunch hour will be a huge thing that could draw some people into your story, because they literally don't have the time. But hearing that you, a working mom, are able to put in a 20-minute workout in your lunch period is going to be something that draws people in. So that's just something I was thinking about. One strategic thing we could do right now tonight is break down our day into that 12-hour chunk and then think about what we're reflecting in our stories. So, for example, we just got home from a vacation. I have 2 toddlers, and our schedules are totally thrown off. Our routines are totally thrown off. And yesterday was a really hard day for me because my daughter would not stop touching me. She just needed me all day long. I had not a single second of time to myself. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, usually I don't post. Something I keep off limits is when my kids are upset. I don't necessarily want to share their vulnerable moments on my social media. But I thought, this might be something that I can share in my story and draw people into. Man, do you ever have toddlers that are just kind of all over you and you feel overstimulated and it causes you to feel out of control? And so that became something in my story yesterday that actually generated conversations with like 10 new people who were like, oh, my toddler does that all the time. So just an example of something that usually is off limits for me that I chose to share yesterday because it was more prominent for me. Okay, so I wanted to get us thinking first of all, before I dive into my other stuff, about the difference between stories on Instagram and posts. So I think our posts on Instagram, generally you should be posting once a day, if not once every 2 or 3 days. Some people post more than that, but the algorithm on Instagram is pretty clear that the more that you post in a day in your actual postings, the less traffic you're going to get on those posts. So let's think if we're posting about 1 post a day or every 2 or 3 days, think about then that's 48 to 60 whatever hours. So what should be being reflected in that is going to look very different than what's being reflected in your story. And I think sometimes our feeds become a little bit of a highlight reel, and there's not necessarily anything wrong with that, but I want to get us thinking tonight about how to make that highlight reel something that is really realistic and a little more vulnerable. So inviting yourself into your emotions. Something that I think is lacking on Instagram, and something especially lacking in fitness posts is the emotions that we're currently going through. One thing that we can get in a rut with is posting more about what we've been through, and like, so transformations, they're a great thing to post. They draw people in, they show they show people where we've came from, but they are kind of a marker of where you came from and not where you're currently at, in the sense that sometimes people think, oh, well, they've already transformed, they've arrived, I'm not there yet, I can't relate to that. Transformations are still pivotal, so I'm not saying don't post them. But one thing to be thinking about then is, can I share more about my current emotions, my current struggles, what I'm currently not through yet? So what are you actively working through? So something I want you to do right now is think about this today. What day is it? It's Wednesday. I'm so off this week. It's Wednesday. I want you to think about one emotion that you had today. So just think about an emotion that you had. Write down that emotion. And then I want you to think about the story of that emotion. Where did that emotion come from? What happened because of that emotion? And then where did that emotion go? Because I think in any given day, so let's go back to yesterday when my daughter was all over me. It sounds so silly. Some of you maybe are stay-at-home moms. Kudos to you. I'm only a summer at-home mom, and that's about as much as I can handle. I love my kids, but I also love my work and my routine. So yesterday, one emotion that I felt was frustration. And so if I do what I just told you to do, I would say, okay, the frustration came from the fact that I was being touched constantly, and I'm not a big physical person. What happened because of that emotion was I lost my temper, and where that emotion went was turned into a crappy evening where I was super stressed out. My husband came home and I was frustrated with him. Okay, so that's like probably pretty typical, right? We've all felt that. We've maybe had different things that triggered that. So something that then I could do with that on my Instagram is share not, I've done such a good job of overcoming my frustration and overcoming my toddler tantrums, but just saying, hey guys, my toddler had a tantrum today and she wouldn't stop touching me and it sucked. Raise your hand if you relate. That's it. That kind of post is actually super engaging to a mom who is really floundering, doesn't have any sense of routine. Being a Marine was easier than being a stay-at-home mom. You guys is kind of kidding. There's so many moms out there who think that there's no way to get a healthy lifestyle into their routine. And so that kind of story is a really important one to share. So does anybody want to share one of their emotions and we can kind of work through making it into a story?
I've been extremely exhausted lately, so that's my emotion today.
Yeah. So when you wrote down the word exhaustion, what is it that today specifically made you like, you were like, my exhaustion is over the top? What was it that brought that about?
Just not being able to sleep. And I could post
So,
about that too, like having issues with sleeping, and I worked through it by leaving work early and napping. So.
okay, so that is huge. That right there is a story. So sometimes our stories are very wordy. I'm a wordy person. I love to use words, but some of the most effective sharing of my story are the ones that use the fewest words. And so, Brittany, for you to be able to, this is another point I was going to get to. When you share it, this is just a practical point. When you share your photo on Instagram, before people click in to read your caption, they get one sentence. And it's important, and I feel a lot of people not doing this, it's important that your first sentence fits into that block that they can see without clicking in. Because some people are not going to read your whole caption. and they're still going to like your photo and still might engage with it even without reading your whole story. So Brittany, so for you, to just do in all caps, I am so exhausted today, period. Then you enter down, you put another dot, you enter down again, and you give yourself some room. The aesthetic of the wording there is really important. So starting with just that one phrase, don't put more words, don't even put any emojis, just put that one phrase. You're going to stop like 10 moms in their tracks for sure. You're going to stop 10 people who worked an overnight shift. You're going to stop 10 people who their husband is gone and their routine is super thrown off. You're going to have all these people that see the word exhaustion and are like, wait, somebody's talking about this? Yeah, me too. Then they're going to click into your post. So that first sentence is just the teaser to your story, right? So then you go into, y'all, I've had a lot of days where I'm tired. Today was a whole other story. I can't even begin to express to you all the things that have piled up. You could go into everything, or you can just say, you know, last night I couldn't sleep. And today I took care of it by leaving work early. Ever been there? ? That could be your whole story, and it would be so relatable to people, right? Now, I think, I mean, I don't know about you, but sometimes I would think, well, people don't really want to see that, right? People don't necessarily want to read that. Like, yeah, we're all tired. Am I just whining? Am I just complaining? That's something that I think a lot of us feel fear about. Do you guys agree? That if you post something negative like that, quote unquote, that then you're going to be making people think you're a negative person or making people think you're whining. That's where I think the power of your entire feed comes into play. Because Brittany, that's not the entirety of your story, right? It was today. That was an emotion you felt today. And it might be easier tomorrow to say, I was so exhausted yesterday, but I made it through, went home from work a little bit early, and I'm having a better day today. Well, that gives people the impression that you are above the emotion you felt yesterday. Does that make sense? So inviting people into the current emotion is so super powerful. Anybody else want to share? Crystal, you were ready, and Brittany, you started talking.
Yeah, I guess it works. Today I felt super confident in what I was wearing. I wore some shorts I hadn't worn ever before, and I've had for like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. And a top that I hadn't been able to wear in a while. So I just felt super confident, which made me really happy to tackle the day. So,
Crystal, we had the same conversation last time. That is a story. That is a story. Like, I cannot tell you, like, I want to read that story. I want to scroll past that story. I want to scroll past the confident feeling, because honestly, a lot of days in my week I don't feel confident, and it's so good to see other women saying, I feel confident today, you know? So think about you. If you scrolled past a person who posted exactly what you just said, I wouldn't change it at all, actually. Go back and watch this recording and then write down what you just said, because it was flawless, perfect. That's the story. Okay. Crystal, if you scrolled past that, would you feel encouraged? Somebody else posting that? Danielle posting that? If Danielle posted a picture in her, what did you say, shorts and a t-shirt, you hadn't worn it, and a hat, did you say a hat?
no hat.
No, sorry. What did you say?
Just shorts and a new shirt.
Okay. If you saw Danielle post that, would you be like, yes, girl, I love that? Would you?
Yeah.
Would you potentially engage with that post?
Yeah.
So I would engage with your post, because that's something that for me would be an awesome day. I love when I have days like that. I love when I feel like confident in myself, and it doesn't happen every day. We all know it doesn't happen every day.
Yeah.
So if you saw somebody else post that, you would engage with it. So that's another huge piece of sharing your story. What do you want to engage with? What do you want to scroll past? So going back to Brittany's, I am really tired some days, and some days I feel like, Ashley's killing it, and Jacqueline, she's got this whole new business. She's doing like 3 businesses. She's never tired. And if I see Brittany, she's exhausted and she couldn't sleep, that encourages me that, oh, hey, yeah, I'm not alone. Great. I'm going to engage with that. I'm going to give it a like, and then I'm going to be too exhausted to comment, but I still gave it a like. You know, we have to be mindful of what we need and use that to tell our story too. So I love that, Crystal. I hope you go share that. Even if, did you take a picture today?
No, but I thought about it. I guess I should probably go put my outfit back on and take a picture.
Maybe you could do that, or, you know, maybe a realistic thing for you to do would be to do in your story, to take a selfie right now and say, guys, I felt so confident today. That would be your first slide. And do another one and say, guys, I don't always feel super confident, but today I just rocked this t-shirt, I rocked these shorts, and I felt so good. And you know what? I didn't take a picture of it. I didn't get a perfect glam shot for Instagram, but I just thought you should know. Guarantee people are going to be like, yes, I totally resonate with that. Or some girl's going to be like, I want to feel like that. Why is she feeling like that? And she's going to message you and be like, why are you, like, what's making you feel so confident? And then you're going to be able to say, well, a lot of things, you know, and then you can go into a conversation. But I feel like what you just told me is a story.
It's a huge story. I just want to add in a little bit too, Crystal, because this is like the most relatable thing. I don't know any female that doesn't have like those shorts. We all have them. Like we all have a pair of shorts or pants or jeans that we're like, oh, these are my skinny jeans. And someday when I'm skinny, I'll fit into them, or that outfit. Like we all have one item of clothing that doesn't fit us in our closet right now. So like how amazingly relatable you could, I think when I like first started coaching, I think I just literally shared a picture of my jeans folded on the counter and was like, those jeans, I get to wear those today. Like you could share any of it because everyone who scrolls past it, whether they engage or like it or anything, it relates, like it speaks to them. So like this is a big day.
Yeah. And so with that then, Darlene, if you think about it, so Crystal, I don't know about you, I actually posted like last week, I posted about how strange it is to me that you can be so confident and happy and excited and have so much momentum one day and the next day feel completely deflated, feel like you've made no progress at all, feel like the shorts don't look good on you. Do you think maybe in a couple of days you might be having a day like that? Because I sometimes fluctuate. And what I think is so cool about Instagram is that a person can go, it would be really neat if a person could go to your page and see, okay, on Wednesday, Crystal felt so confident. She was rocking it. She was whatever. And then on Friday, man, I'm so exhausted. My work was really hard today, but you know what, guys? I made it through, took off early, so I'm taking Brittany's post. But if you add on to yours, took off work early, and that was a really good life choice, and I'm going to bed early tonight. See ya. Peace sign. They have this like map of your life where they're able to track with your progress on a much more realistic level than just the transformation of the 30 pounds that went away in 4 months. And so what I love about the top 9 of your Instagram is that it really should reflect 9 different stages of you in the last 9 days, 12 days, 15 days, whatever your timeline for posting is. So with that, a good story invites others into their own story. And so Crystal, what I loved about that story is that it got me thinking, I put these stupid little pigtails in my hair and I have felt so good today because of it. My outfit is super basic. I'm wearing my like lame black, whatever, leggings, but I just never wear pigtails. And when I do, I just feel like a little bouncy 12-year-old and I felt really great today because of it. And you took me into my story for today. I hadn't been thinking about that when I wrote 3 pages out for this call and I hadn't thought about that at all, but your story brought me into my story, which triggers something for me to be able to share and to be able to feel. And so if I was a person who wasn't already, on a similar journey to it with coaching, I might go, hey, yeah, I felt confident today too. Maybe I could post that. Hey, yeah, I felt confident today too. Maybe other people would want to know that I felt confident. And you kind of trigger a reaction of noticing confidence in yourself. So that's a big point for me in this whole thing that I'm doing tonight is your story. A good story should invite other people into their own story. It shouldn't just get people thinking about Crystal. It should get people thinking about themselves, and whether or not they relate to it, they should be able to find a way to connect it to their story. So I love that about that. And obviously the exhaustion one is super the same way that we can all, you invite us into our story of saying, man, maybe it's not a current thing. I can go, oh, I remember when I had insomnia, that really sucked. I should encourage Brittany today because that was really hard for me. You're triggering your reaction of giving to someone else then. So if somebody isn't struggling with exhaustion right now, they can go, oh, Brittany is really exhausted. Maybe I should shoot her a kind message. So more than just building your business, you're helping people expand into like a lifestyle of giving, a lifestyle of thinking about other people and realizing that other people are at different places than they are. Okay. Okay, so here's the next point. When you look at your feed, so if you guys have your phones right now, if you go to your Instagram feed, we all have Instagram, right? Go to your Instagram feed and just look at like your top 9 or 12, whatever you can look at right now. Look at it, and I want you to like be picky right now. Do you like it? Like you're looking at your feed, do you like it? Do you look at this and go, man, I like that. I feel good about this. This is what I want to see. This is what I want other people to see. Do you look at your feed and you think, it's really not me? Kind of over edited that. Ugh, didn't really like that picture. Are you nitpicking apart your own Instagram? If you scrolled past this, what would you think about it? Because it's important to me when I think about my Instagram. I went through a phase for a while where I was really trying to gain followers, and I was putting in all this extra time to try to just get people to like and follow, and I stopped liking my feed during that time. I don't know if that's relatable to any of you, but I stopped telling my real story, and I started telling a story that was more focused on gaining followers than it was about my life and what I'm actually doing and what actually matters to me and what I wanted my feed to look like. And I can scroll back to that time and look at those pictures and I'm like, yeah, it just wasn't me. So looking at your feed right now, I want you to ask yourself whether you like it, because that's important to telling your story. So here's a few things I want you all to like really take in right now. You do not require a filter. Crystal does not require a filter. Danielle does not require a filter. Jacqueline does not require a filter. Ashley does not require a filter. Brittany does not require a filter. Everyone else on our team does not require a filter. Your kids do not require a filter. Your job does not require a filter. Your story does not require a filter. Your life does not require a filter. And I want you to think about that when you're telling your story on Instagram. Some people are trying so hard to make their life look a certain way that they're filtering all the vulnerability, all the realness, and all of the hard work and grit that it took to get where they're at out. So I don't have 1 million followers. I'm not some big person out there, but I believe my feed is honest. I believe that my feed actually tells my story. And I believe that's because I have intentionally chosen to make it reflect who I am and to not filter my life to please other people on my feed. So I think that's a really important part of telling our story as coaches, because we're not coaches. Our coaching looks different for all of us, but first and foremost, it's a lifestyle that we've committed to. It's a lifestyle of health, and we're trying to invite other people into that. So when you're forming your stories, are you doing it to get somebody to follow you, get somebody to like your photo, or to share your life and to share your story? So when Ashley asked me to do this, this is what she said. She said she wanted me to help us form stories. We're not here to form a ideal coaching platform. We're not here to just further the brand of Beachbody. We're here to tell our stories. So really tonight, I think what I just feel really strongly about is encouraging you that your story matters. Your story is worth telling, and it doesn't require any filtering from anything, whether it's a filter on your Instagram photo or a filtering of your words. Do you like to swear? You can swear in your posts. If you don't like to swear, you don't have to swear in your posts. It's your feed. And what I loved about so many people at Summit was the reminder that you want people on your team who you'd want to follow. You want people on your team who resonate with you. And so think about that when you're posting. Are you changing yourself to gain some people that potentially might follow you because you changed yourself. Well, that's not telling your story then, right? Okay.
Can I share something quick?
Yeah.
So I posted the podcast in the event, but her name's Kendra Hall, and she's a book called Stories That Stick. She's a professional storyteller, and we heard her at Leadership. But one thing that she said today that really stuck out to me is she was telling a story how she was trying to get up and share, and she didn't know what to share because she didn't have this like grand thing to share about. And she shared a story about like high school breakup, like something that happened 10 years ago. And she had like many people come up to her after the show, like more than she'd ever had before. And the thing is, it's like a small thing, but it's the most relatable thing. And I think we all, like, it just stuck out to me, like, we all think we have to have this big thing to relate to people, and we don't. We all have stories in our lives, and they're usually the small ones that relate the most to people.
That's really good. Yeah.
I posted the link to the podcast if you want to check it out. But
sometimes the filter we put on is waiting to share until we have a big story.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's how we're trying to filter ourselves. And so, yeah, that's so good. So the thing that seems insignificant to you or seems like it's not worth sharing could potentially be what is a breakthrough moment for somebody else. I had a friend over today that I haven't seen in a while, and we got to talking, and she's having some major health issues that she's finally getting addressed. She's finally getting some help for them. She's a person she's a very professional. She's a photographer. She keeps her feed very professional, very clean, very crisp. She always has, ever since I've known her, and I've known her a long time. She cares a lot about the business side of it. Different business than ours, but similar in the sense that she's trying to get people to join in what she's doing, to buy what she's selling. And she shared today that she's finally feeling like it might be time to get rid of some of the filtering of her feed and share what actually is happening in her life. And it was really timely, because that's what I wanted to talk about tonight. And she was just saying, I wish that I would have came across a post when I was 16 and struggling with some of these health issues, of an older, like a 25-year-old saying, hey, you don't have to deal with these period cramps in this way. Like, I got help for this by doing this, or you don't have to do this, or this. Here's something that helped me. And she's like, I've always thought that you just shouldn't share that kind of thing on social media because it's obnoxious and people don't want to see it. But she's like, I wish I would have came across things that would have helped me sooner. And I was like, yes, that is exactly, as Beachbody coaches, we have the opportunity to just share our story in a way that is consistent, meaningful, and invites people to make those changes in their own life. And that's where all of these little things that we don't need to filter in our day can really help be the change for people on a much deeper level than just a shake or just even a fitness program. It all works together. And so I have loved watching Ashley. I've been following you for a long time, and I've watched you grow into your feed a lot. In the last few months, I feel like I'm starting to see more of the Ashley that I see in person than I used to. And that's not a criticism of your old feed, but I think you've been learning how to be more vulnerable with your story and to find a good balance of how do I share about my kids and my struggles with that, while also making sure people know that every single day I'm committed to these workouts. Every single day I am showing up for my team. Every single day I'm doing this. And I've watched you like grow immensely in that. And what I think is really cool about that is anybody who's been following you for as long as I have has also seen that. And sometimes the change in the story is a super gradual progression for people to actually engage with it. It might take a person 3 years of following you to finally say, I've seen enough from this person that I'm finally ready. And so your story it's not short term. It's not just a day. It's long term. It's every day. And we have this really, really cool platform to do it. And so, Crystal, I just want to encourage you, especially since I met you in person, I know how great you are, that there is a consistency that people are looking for from a person like you, who is probably like the kindest people most people will ever meet. You're genuine. You've seen really, really positive changes from these programs. But more than that, your life is something that you're learning how to live right now. You're figuring some new things out. You're feeling confidence on a day that you maybe wouldn't have a year ago, 2 years ago. if we're not, you don't have to share it. There's no one saying you have to, but who could you potentially have caught on a really rough day with that post just by sharing what actually happened in your day? That's a real emotion you felt today. That's why I had you do that exercise. So I know people use like Planoly and different things to plan out their posts. I don't personally, because I'm a very reactive poster. I like to post really genuinely, and that's I think it depends on the person and what your goals are. But for you, Crystal, to finding yourself a rhythm in your week, or Danielle, any of us, to find yourself a rhythm in your week that just says, each day I'm going to sit down and I'm going to pick an emotion, and then I'm going to look at what caused it, what came from it, and what happened to it, and I'm going to tell that story. If you do that every day, you've got to post every day. So then let's go to the pictures. What are you posting with your pictures? It really does matter, because the reality is that people don't want to see the same pictures of your kids every day. People don't want to see the same sweaty selfie every day. Like, we get bored. We're creatures of habit in some areas, but in Instagram, we don't want habit. We don't want to see the same picture every day. We want to see genuine things that are happening. We want to see Crystal in the shorts that she's rocking, that she's feeling super confident in. We want to see the beautiful sunset that doesn't happen every day, that we just happen to capture just right on our camera. We want to see, sometimes we want to see the dirty dishes in the kitchen with the glass of wine held out, because that's the reality of your night. Today I took a picture walking. We're living in a basement currently. We got 8 days to go. I took a picture walking down, and it was just toys everywhere, the laundry basket, and I had a bottle of wine and a glass that I would happen to be bringing downstairs, and I was like, yeah, this is reality, and took a picture. Like, that kind of thing is also something you can post. So it doesn't have to be like a perfect picture, but be mindful. If you go look at your pictures and it's like 6 really similar looking pictures, that's not necessarily something that you would want to be looking at, so people probably wouldn't want to be looking at that as well. Does that make sense? So just be mindful of that with your pictures. I don't think there's any one way to take pictures. I've been told I have a good eye for taking pictures. I love taking pictures, but that's not everyone's gifting. But so think about, am I taking pictures that I think are beautiful? So again, it goes back to, when you look at your feed, do you think that I posted that picture because I felt like I had to post a picture? Because that's not a reason to post a picture. Don't do that. Like, if you're posting a picture that you're not proud of, other people probably don't really like that picture either. So go look at your feed and get critical with yourself. Say, was that a picture I actually wanted to post, or was that a picture that I posted because I felt like I had to? Maybe it was a picture that only got 6 likes, but you loved it. Well, then who cares that it only got 6 likes if you loved the picture, right? It's your feed. It's your space to cultivate, your platform to build. And so that's important to me tonight also, that we just think about, it's not about posting perfect pictures. It's about posting pictures that we think are beautiful. It's about, that's part of your story. For me, I'm not going to post a picture that I am not proud of. So even if it's a picture of my dirty dishes, that picture is going to be at a good angle. It's going to have an aesthetic that I like, even though it's a mess, because that's the way my brain operates, right? So you need to think about that for yourself. So Crystal, whatever you decide to do with this confidence post that I know is coming, maybe it's that you put the outfit on again tomorrow morning and you take a picture in a mirror where you can see your phone and everything, and you say, guys, I wore this outfit yesterday and I put it on again this morning so that I could do this post. That would be an awesome post. I would love that post, because that's so honest. I've been there where I felt really good one day, and the next morning I woke up feeling like crap. I'm like, I gotta put the same outfit on because I felt really good yesterday. Like, that's a story that's also relatable. So I don't know. I don't feel like I have that much to offer that's different than anything any of you are doing, but I do want to just encourage you not to filter yourself and not to feel like you have to fit some kind of a mold. And then when it comes to stories, the reality is that Instagram is a platform that has become a lot more like microblogging. So if you don't know what that is, that's just a small blog. And the reality is also that most people who blog for a living or blog really well, they spend time crafting their writing and becoming a better writer. Something that I think is unfortunate on Instagram is a lot of people are feeling pressure to post meaningful captions and stories, but they don't actually have the practice to do that well. And so then they feel kind of bummed when they can't get their words out right and they get all stressed out about it. So I would encourage you to wake up tomorrow morning and longhand, freehand, don't type, just one page of thoughts. This is an exercise that a lot of writers do, and it's actually encouraged for creativity, period. Write out your thoughts. Start to cultivate writing in your own life, and that will help your story come out better. So if you're a person who gets nervous to type out captions, if you feel like you're kind of stuttering over it, or you like regret something, you're like, oh, that wasn't my best thing, or I don't know, if you're overthinking it, take time to practice. Just like with our workouts, it's a muscle that actually needs to be formed. I write every single day. I actually write 3 longhand pages on this huge notebook every single morning. And that's something that I have become very, very committed to, just like I am to my workouts, because it cultivates in me my ability to use words and my ability to get my thoughts out. So if you want to be telling a story with words, you need to practice using words. If you feel like your pictures are lacking, if you want to be taking better pictures, if you want, if that's something that you want to foster in yourself, do what you did with your workouts, do what you did with your shakes, and become consistent. If you want to post on Instagram more regularly, do what you did with your workouts, do what you did with your shakes, do it consistently. You're not going to get better at something if you're not doing it. So that's maybe like a really uber practical, like no duh, but I think sometimes we forget that. Instagram is just like anything else. It requires practice to become good at it. Danielle was talking about hashtags. There's people out there who put 100 hashtags on a Instagram post a day and don't see anything from it because they haven't actually taken the time to get better at it and to think about which hashtags they're actually using. So I just want to encourage you guys that what we're doing matters, what we're selling matters. We're helping people build a lifestyle that is so much healthier than so many lifestyles out there. And our stories really, really matter. And so your story is going to look different than my story. My story is going to look different than your story. We don't need filters. A good story draws other people into their stories, and it might take some practice. And so if you do ever want somebody like to help you, like if you have like Crystal and I, she just told me a couple of things she was thinking about. I did help her form it into something. So if you're ever curious, if you ever need somebody to just help you form it into some words because it's just not coming to you, that's something I genuinely love to do and could help with. But the probability is that you probably have other people in your life who would do the same thing. There's something really magical about just having a conversation with someone and the way that a story forms from that. So find a tool in your life. I just saw somebody say something, about saying it and then re-listening. If you don't have somebody to talk to, do that. Or reach out to somebody on the team and say, okay, I think I have a story here. Can I share it with you? But it comes down to what Ashley said. You nailed it. And it must be from that podcast that you were saying. You don't have to have something big to say or something perfect to say or something incredibly impactful or new. This entire hour of me talking is not new, but it's a good reminder and it's a good encouragement. And that's what our stories are. They're reminding people to live in the day-to-day. They're reminding people to make choices that are good for them. They're reminding people that some days are hard, reminding some people that some days are good. It all comes down to just living your life and telling it honestly. Practice makes perfect. So practice it. And let your teammates help you. Let people in your life help you. So that's all I had.
Yeah, one thing with the pictures, I'll just say this is, Crystal, you had a day where you feel awesome. Take 20 pictures of yourself. Sometimes I'm like walking outside and it's like we're outside at the perfect time. My kids are running around. It's like I take 20 pictures of them. It's like, and then you can reuse things. I think that's like, as long as they're not like within like every other one, you can reuse things. Or like put a different pose of the same thing. And I know that feels weird, but if you take like 30 of them, there's probably going to be like 2 or 3 that you really like. And then you have some pictures of you in something that you feel confident and bold in. And yeah. Or if you're out with friends, just anything, take pictures, then you have them to use.
Mm-hmm. Another thing with pictures too is like, if you're a person, some people it never occurs to me, but some people like don't like editing pictures and like don't feel like they have an eye for it. Send it to someone who like edits pictures well. That could actually be a way to, I'm just thinking of this. So Crystal, let's say you took a selfie of yourself and you're like, I like this, but it just needs some editing. And somebody who does a really good job editing, you like their feed. send it to them and say, hey, could you help me edit this photo? Maybe 2 weeks down the road, they're going to be looking at that photo that they helped you edit, or the next day, they're looking at that photo they helped you edit. They're reading your caption and they're going, I need that too. Like, you know, use people, and that could potentially even be a way to get like access into somebody's life. You know, people have different strengths. You don't have to be good at storytelling and taking pictures and working out. Like, we're all living hard lives here. So use each other. And yeah, it's a good point. You're never going to get the perfect picture in the first shot.
No. So question, Hannah, I was thinking about when you were doing the circles, because I was just thinking this practically, like when we're working. So then that limits your hours, or do you go on and like share a story, like in your stories, share about something that happened at work that day? Is that,
yeah.
Yeah.
So if you like, you've been following me, so you know, but like when I'm at school, like obviously I don't usually post during the school day. Every once in a while something will happen that I'm like, I have to go post right now. But usually I wait till after. So if I'm working out at 5:30, I post my Energize, do something about my workout, I'll post my breakfast. Maybe got the kids off to daycare, so I post something about that. Often I don't post something about that. But yeah, after work, I would kind of do a check-in about how the workday went. But again, that comes to the emotion, and that can become a story. That's usually then where a post comes from for that day, is the emotion of whatever I was feeling from that day at work. And I'm not necessarily saying that you have to post 12 things, like one for every hour, but I think that if some people post just about their work day or just about their workout, then people are like, well, I had 10 things going on today, so I can't relate to you. Right? And so, yeah, that's the way I would think of it. Like, you don't have to post during your workday, but afterward, just saying, man, that was a long day at work. I don't even want to talk about it, so I'm not going to. That could be your story about that. But
I actually think the more you can get in the behind the scenes, the better. Because then it's not just your workout, not just your shake, but it's you, and it's the real you.
And then that shake and workout become behind the scenes, which is what they are ultimately. They are the foundation for our day being successful, right? That's what we're saying. So if we can show that, that's so like hands-on for people. I think the majority of the people who have reached out to me to join my team have come to me with that, been like, okay, so I've seen you do parent, I've seen you teach, I've seen you do this, and now how are you doing this, right? Seeing it on top of everything else.
So good. Thanks for sharing, Hannah. I appreciate that. And I'm giving Hannah more work, but she is so good at helping people return around posts. So ask her. And I think like after a couple of times, you'll get the hang of it. Like, you recognize how to share the emotion. So
also, the aesthetic of your writing in your post does matter. So if you're ever curious, like how a person spreaded it out the way they did, or how they whatever, ask questions. Like, again, message that person and say, how did you get that black thing in there? How did you space it out? Like, these are all, we're networking. People are happy to answer those questions. I'm happy to answer those questions, but nobody wants to read just a chunk of text, right? So if you're having trouble formatting, ask for help.
FYI, the space with not having to put dots is at the end, just enter. Like, no, like after you end a sentence, don't put a space and then enter, because that makes it go right away. But if you just, as soon as you put the period, enter, it gives it the space. I don't know why, but that's the magic.
And all it is that first sentence is not a paragraph, because people need that first chunk.
What about the fonts? How are people getting the funky fonts?
It's an app called
It's
Font.
a separate app.
Okay.
Personally, it bothers me when I scroll past that. I'm like, ugh, you're too fancy for me.
I downloaded it, and it's like because you then have to put the keyboard on, and it's a really annoying keyboard to use.
It is obnoxious. I think that those people are just overachievers. But if you want to do it, I'll still like your post.
Just don't do crazy, but it does help highlight certain words or certain.
It does.
Yeah.
Sometimes it also makes it hard to read. And if you have an Android, you see it differently on an iPhone, differently on
I know, like sometimes your guys' stories, or you're not Android anymore, you're Apple now, but like before, like if you screenshot a story, it looks very different.
Good to know though, because you should pretty much always be leaving room on the edges, whether you have Android or iPhone, because an Android phone is going to not see your whole iPhone. Like I can never read your whole stories, Ashley.
Well, that's crazy.
And you are not seeing mine. So make sure you're always keeping your text, like giving yourself room top and bottom, because you never know who has an Android. And that can really bother people. Like I'm going to skip through a story that I can't read fully. I'm going to be like, oh, I can't read it. So.
Actually, I can't read your stories sometimes on my phone. Like it's cut off where your name is. And
it's if you don't hold it.
Casey's stories do that too, to me.
But I don't hold stories, so I don't see
and
it.
sometimes her entire top line of text would just be off the screen for me. So I don't know. I think just to always be conscious of like pulling everything down a little closer to the middle. That's what I try to do. And
being better friends and telling people when you couldn't see it.
That's true.
The fact that you're just telling me this 2 years later.
It's okay, Ashley. I can see your stuff.
I always thought it was just my Android. I thought it was just my Android. That's why I didn't tell you. But I'm back in the iPhone world.
Do about it in your app, because I thought it
frick, it's the color of my Energize now.
I think it's the top and where it says your name and stuff, like if you don't hold it down.
Yeah.
Now that you say that.
Where did Brittany go?
I think Cooper should have put Cooper to bed.
She's right.
Revive while you were talking.
You finished Revive?
Yeah, I'm so sweaty.
There you are.
I liked Revive though.
Yeah.
I did too.
Ew.
It felt so good, but I'm over here in like all kind of weird positions.
You should have left your camera on. That would have been.
You guys would have loved it. Basically falling out of my bra and my shorts.
I've just been watching y'all do Morning Meltdown 100. Like, okay, maybe one day, because we're doing like 80-day obsession next. So I was like, we'll just watch them and see them struggle, so that when I do it, I know what to expect.
What? 80-day obsession is so hard.
So much harder.
Oh my gosh. I love Meltdown so much more than 80.
Okay, so wait, it's harder in the sense that it's an hour long, but the moves aren't as hard.
I disagree.
Oh, okay. I can do an hour.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think 80-day obsession moves, everything is harder.
I agree. I think 80-day is way harder.
Morning Meltdown is like just weird, like complicated.
Yes, it's like unique moves, but they're not. I wouldn't say. Yeah, I thought 80-day was way harder.
One of our like people under Jen, she saved a video of herself doing the Jericho jump the first time, and like her legs, like whatever, the first time. And then now she showed it now. It was really cool to see. Like, so Danielle, when you go to do it, try videoing yourself the first time you do a Jericho jump, because it's like impossible.
I don't know, because I'm like a hot mess, and I'll probably end up falling and breaking my face. So
yeah, those are interesting moves, but I don't know. I think overall 80-day is just such a harder program. Like,
yeah, I hate 80-day.
Hard.
80-day is a mental. It's a mental
hard.
I am on day 18 tomorrow of Meltdown. I can't believe we're almost to 20.
I'm doing it for the booty.
It's great also, for that.
I had like the side dent in my butt from 80-day. Like I think I was in the best physical shape with 80-day.
I agree.
Yeah, see, I'm rocking the mom butt still, so I was like, I need 80-day obsession. I heard great things.
And a lot of people, Hannah was one of them, like you just went out and like were able to run. After like, and there's not a lot of cardio in 80-day, and so the fact that that's like I can count like 5 people that told me that that did 80-day with me, like how they were able to
ran 3 miles, and I had never run a mile in my
life.
life.
Well, I'll like that. I like to run like long distance on Sundays, so maybe it'll improve my run time a little.
It will.
I think it will. It just strengthens your whole core so much. Also, I think it's legs. It makes your legs.
And you're gonna hate cardio, whatever flow. So pick a different.
I went back to that later, and I actually liked it, but
by week 10, you're hating cardio.
I hated it on week 1.
Awful.
Right now, I'm doing Transform 20, and I actually hate the powerful workouts. I'm like, that name is so, like, you think it would be an empowering workout, but, like, literally the whole time, you're like,
all push-ups.
Empowering. Like, I'm dying.
So something that I figured out from, I had done lift 4 and then went to T20, did T20 all the way through. It was crazy how many moves, like triple bear and stuff, I could do way better, way faster from T20. My legs got so strong.
Mm-hmm.
That program is crazy for your calf strength and your quad strength.
I made the mistake of doubling up the first day. Like, the first day I did the workout, I was like, that's 20 minutes, and, like, I don't feel any different. So I was like, I'll do it again because I feel like I need more. And then, like, for the next 3 days, I couldn't even straighten my legs because where my calves connected to my kneecaps, like, would not straighten out.
It is.
Did you do the last workout yet?
No, so the last workout is Saturday.
Oh my gosh. Good luck.
Uh-oh.
I felt like that was me with downbeat strength last week, the first one. And I was like,
I
oh,
hate downbeat
hinges,
strength.
they're nothing.
I had to do it again
I
today.
went up to 20-pound weights because I was like, this is nothing right now. I'm still sore from those hinges. Like, where I felt like I wasn't doing nothing. Like, my butt, my inner thigh, all of it, my hamstrings, like.
Today I had a thought. I was like, could I just, like, keep working out but just not ever do another lunge? Would that be okay?
I feel like those are the best workouts, though, like, where you don't feel like you've killed yourself, but then you're super sore.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, before we started, I did the prep workout, the downbeat strength one, 16 minutes. And we got to, like, the glute bridges, and I was like, oh, I hate these. Like, I never feel them. Jinxed myself because doing the one where you, like, come down halfway and then go back up and then come down, yeah, that one burns. I was so sore for, like, the next 2 days.
That one, too, is like, it's like, it hits you, like, you're like, oh, this is fine. And then you're like, this is not fine anymore. Like, I am not okay.
Like, I'm still having to hold myself to go to the bathroom. Like, I gotta hold the toilet and lower down like an old lady. And
I haven't had to do that
recharge at night because I'm like,
I love that we're still recording this. So
I was in Iowa staying with my